My friends, every day, the world tests our patience. People will speak carelessly, events won't go our way, and life will throw us moments designed to break our calm. But the truth is, no one can disturb your peace without your permission. Control what you can, accept what you can't. This simple truth carries the power to transform your entire relationship with life. Most of our suffering comes not from the events themselves, but from our resistance to them, from our desperate attempt to control what was never ours to command. We get frustrated because people don't act the way we expect, situations don't unfold as we plan, and outcomes refuse to match our desires. But life was never meant to obey us. The more we try to bend reality to our will, the more it breaks us. Peace, on the other hand, begins the moment we surrender the illusion of control and focus instead on the only domain that truly belongs to us: our thoughts, our choices, and our reactions. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm, yelling at the wind to stop blowing. It's absurd, yet we do this every day when we argue with what life delivers. We get angry at others' words, offended by their behavior, wounded by their opinions. But we forget that none of these things are under our control. People will think, speak, and act according to their own understanding, not ours. Trying to change them is like trying to stop the tide with your hands. Instead, wisdom lies in turning inward and realizing that your response is the only thing that matters. The storm may rage, but you can remain unmoved within it. When you focus on what is within your control, you regain power. You cannot decide what someone says to you, but you can decide how to interpret it. You cannot control how others treat you, but you can choose whether to be bitter or better because of it. Every situation offers two paths, one of resistance and one of acceptance. Resistance breeds pain. Acceptance breeds peace. Acceptance does not mean giving up or being passive. It means seeing reality clearly and choosing your response with calm strength rather than emotional impulse. In every challenge, ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, then it does not deserve your worry or anger. Worrying about the uncontrollable is like running on a treadmill, exhausting but getting nowhere. Let go of what you cannot change, and your mind will stop being a battlefield. Then, you can use your energy where it truly matters, improving yourself, refining your thoughts, and acting with integrity in the areas you can influence. This understanding is not learned in a single moment, it is practiced daily. Each time you face disappointment, remind yourself that your peace does not depend on the world's behavior. It depends on your ability to stay centered when the world loses balance. Master this one principle, and life will no longer feel like an endless struggle against chaos, but a steady journey guided by inner strength and clarity. Detach emotion from events. Nothing in life truly has the power to disturb you until you assign it meaning. Every situation that unfolds before you is, in its purest form, neutral, a simple occurrence, neither good nor bad. It is the mind that steps in, interprets, labels, and reacts. One person loses a job and feels destroyed. Another sees the same loss as liberation and opportunity. The event is the same, yet the experience differs entirely. This difference does not come from the world, but from perception. Your interpretation, not the event itself, dictates your peace or your pain. We often believe that our emotions are caused by external forces, by people, words, or circumstances. But in truth, they are born from within, created by the judgments we attach to what happens. When someone insults you, the insult is only sound, vibration, air. It becomes pain only when you decide to take it personally, to give it weight, to accept it as truth. If you detach your emotion from the event, the insult loses all meaning, it fades into nothing. The same is true of every frustration, disappointment, and perceived injustice. It is not the thing itself, but your reaction to it that determines how deeply it cuts. This understanding gives you tremendous freedom. It means no one can truly control you unless you hand them that power through your emotional attachment. The world can act as it will, but you remain the gatekeeper of your peace. Detachment does not mean coldness or indifference. It means clarity. It means seeing events for what they are without drowning in your judgments about them. The rain is not bad weather, it is simply rain. A delay is not a disaster, it is simply time unfolding differently than you planned. When you strip away your emotional commentary, reality becomes lighter, calmer, and more manageable. Training yourself to detach emotion from events is not easy. It requires awareness, the ability to pause before reacting, to observe your thoughts rather than obey them. When something upsetting happens, do not rush to label it as unfair or tragic. Instead, ask yourself, what actually happened? Remove the emotion and describe the event as a simple fact. You'll notice how quickly your sense of turmoil fades. You will begin to see how much of your suffering has been self-created, a result of the stories you've told yourself about what things mean. With practice, you start to live with a quiet strength. Insults lose their sting, setbacks lose their weight, and praise no longer swells your ego. You begin to respond rather than react, to act from understanding rather than emotion. Life remains unpredictable, but you become unshaken. Detaching emotion from events does not strip life of meaning. It gives you the freedom to create your own, to choose calm over chaos, peace over pain, and understanding over reaction. Choose response over reaction. Every moment of your life, something happens around you. Words are spoken, events unfold, people behave in ways you do not expect. Instinctively, the mind wants to react. It wants to defend, to argue, to retaliate, to justify. But between what happens and how you feel, there is always a small, quiet space. That space is your power, your freedom, and your wisdom. Most people live their entire lives never noticing it. They move through life on impulse, reacting automatically to every stimulus, and as a result, they become prisoners of circumstance. The key to inner peace lies in recognizing that space and learning to use it. When something challenges you, an insult, a setback, a disappointment, you have two choices. You can let emotion take over and react immediately, or you can pause, breathe, and respond with clarity. Reaction is instinct. Response is mastery. Reaction is driven by ego. Response is guided by reason. A reaction often brings regret, while a response brings understanding. The pause between stimulus and response is not weakness. It is strength disguised as stillness. It is the sign of a mind that rules itself rather than being ruled by impulses. Imagine a calm lake. When a stone is thrown into it, waves ripple across the surface, but if you wait, the water returns to stillness. The mind is much the same. When an event disturbs you, if you react instantly, you create waves of anger, frustration, and confusion. But if you wait, even for a breath, the disturbance settles, and you can see clearly again. From that clarity comes the right response, one that preserves your peace and dignity instead of scattering it. Choosing your response is an act of conscious awareness. It means not letting other people dictate your emotions. It means understanding that someone else's behavior does not have to control your state of mind. When someone tries to provoke you, you are not obligated to join their chaos. You can choose calm, and in that choice, you claim your power. You become untouchable, not because life stops testing you, but because you stop letting those tests disturb your center. This practice requires patience and self-observation. There will be moments when anger rises, when pride pushes you to react, when silence feels unbearable. But if you can remind yourself that every emotion is temporary, that you are not your anger but the observer of it, then you regain control. You realize that calm is not something you find, it is something you create in the space before you act. Over time, this awareness becomes natural. You stop being pulled into emotional storms. You listen more, speak less, and when you do speak, your words carry purpose rather than impulse. The world remains unpredictable, but you remain steady. In that steadiness lies real freedom, the freedom to choose peace over turmoil, to act with wisdom instead of reaction, and to live guided by response rather than emotion. Train the mind daily. Mental strength does not appear suddenly. It is forged slowly through discipline, awareness, and repetition. Just as the body becomes strong through consistent exercise, the mind becomes unshakable through constant practice. Every day offers small opportunities to train: a rude comment, a delay, an unexpected difficulty, or an unmet expectation. Each of these moments is a test, a quiet lesson disguised as inconvenience. When you choose calm instead of frustration, patience instead of anger, acceptance instead of complaint, you are strengthening the muscle of the mind. Over time, this training builds a kind of power that no one can take from you. Most people focus on training the body, earning money, or seeking comfort, but they neglect the mind, the very instrument through which all experiences are filtered. A weak mind is easily disturbed. It breaks under stress, complains when life is unfair, and seeks blame in others. A trained mind, however, stands firm in difficulty. It observes emotion but does not become it. It feels pain but does not drown in it. It understands that peace is not the absence of challenge but mastery within it. Mental strength is not about suppressing emotions. It is about understanding them and not letting them dictate your actions. Training the mind begins with awareness. You must first notice your thoughts before you can guide them. When irritation arises, do not rush to act, simply watch it. When fear appears, do not flee, examine it. The more you practice observation without immediate reaction, the more distance you create between yourself and your emotions. That distance is where power grows. It is where self-control is built. It is where peace begins to take root. Each small victory over anger or impatience adds to your inner strength, just as every repetition builds a stronger muscle. This training never ends. Every day brings new challenges, people who test your patience, circumstances that test your resolve. Instead of resenting these moments, use them as your training ground. A calm mind is not developed in silence or comfort, but in noise, pressure, and difficulty. You do not become strong by avoiding hardship. You become strong by facing it with composure. Just as fire strengthens steel, adversity shapes the disciplined mind. Consistency is the secret. You cannot meditate once and expect eternal calm, nor can you practice patience one day and expect lifelong peace. The mind must be tended daily, like a garden that grows only with care. Some days you will stumble, some days you will react before thinking, but each day offers a chance to return to awareness. The more you practice, the less external chaos can disturb your internal balance. Eventually, you reach a state where provocation no longer shakes you, criticism no longer wounds you, and uncertainty no longer frightens you. You become quieter, stronger, and untouchable, not because life becomes easier, but because your mind has been trained to remain steady in every storm.